First, Iran bombed Israel and hit the biggest hospital in the south of Israel, right? There are dead, there are wounded. What is going on? Let's summarize the latest situation. Now, Elif?
And we actually had a relatively quiet night compared to other nights in terms of attacks. At around 4 o'clock, Israel launched a new wave of attacks against Iran and issued an evacuation order in Persian for the cities of Arak and Hondab. There, it specifically asked civilians around the heavy water reactor in Arak to move away. Shortly after this evacuation warning, we learned that the Arak heavy water reactor had in fact been hit. Then, around 7 o'clock, Iran launched a new wave of attacks. In the center of Israel, sirens sounded in the north and south, but especially in the south, there was the sound of a huge explosion and there was a lot of damage. Now, one of the places hit is Soroka Hospital. This is the largest hospital in the south of Israel and one of the largest and most advanced complexes in the country. And what we understand from the images coming in, from the first statement from the spokesperson of the hospital, is that there was serious damage, but the latest, as far as I understand, the lower floor of the hospital was evacuated yesterday in case of such an attack. Therefore, the death toll may not be that high. But when we looked at the incoming images, we saw that the ceiling of a building in the compound collapsed. We saw smoke rising from there. There is also this rumor about this hospital. It is also among the information that it is the hospital where Israeli soldiers wounded in Gaza are treated. Meanwhile, we know that explosions were heard in Jerusalem. There were also large-scale attacks in Tel Aviv. There were bombs and destruction there as well. So the main places hit are Tel Aviv, Ramat Gan, Holon, and Sorok Hospital in Basharba. There's a lot in Holon.
A building is injured. Yes, that's what I was going to say. It's on the screen now. We're bringing the video live. For example, we see that a building was hit in Holon. What is that building? What's in Holon? Where is there? It's not like the hospital right now.
No, it's not. It's different where the hospital is. It looks like a building in Holon. There is no information for now, but I will say that on the other hand, the Israeli Stock Exchange building was hit in Ramat Gan. That's also important. On the other hand, at the same time, Israel targeted the Arak heavy water reactor in Iran. And it was said that there was no radiation danger there for the time being. The facility had already been evacuated. On the other hand, let me say this about the hospital. It is said that the hospital has now been evacuated because we know that this is happening against the risk of a hazardous material leakage there. The Israeli Minister of Health made a statement. He said the attack on the hospital was a war crime. Of course, Israel, which has been bombing hospitals in Gaza since October 7th, is witnessing its own hospital being targeted for the first time. So we have to underline that, and he says this is a war crime. On the other hand, the Israeli military said in a statement that 40 warplanes carried out overnight strikes in Tehran and other parts of Iran. There was also a night attack on the Natanz nuclear facility. Among the information coming to dozens of military facilities, that 100 munitions were fired at the Iranian military facility, as we understand it in the latest statement from the Israeli army. On the other hand, let me briefly go to the American front.
Yes, now U.S. President Donald Trump has also made statements. We closely followed his statements yesterday. Let's take a look at what he said. Now,
First of all, what the American press writes is that Donald Trump has not yet made up his mind about this attack, but his advisors, experts, he's trying to find out from senior officials in the Pentagon. If I get involved and attack Iran, can I really destroy the nuclear facilities? And in order to do that, he's trying to find out whether the effect of this bunker buster bomb, which we've been talking about for days, GBU 57, is really... Trump is said to be trying to understand whether it is powerful enough to destroy the facility. This bomb has passed many tests, but it has never been used in a war on any front before, the U.S. press reports. Therefore, as far as we understand, Trump still has question marks in his mind, so he doesn't want to get involved in something that he can't fully succeed in. So he says,
in other words, he says he may or may not shoot, he says he may or may not enter. But we can already tell the United States that it is on Israel's side, that it is actually directly at war. I mean, it is already openly expressing its support. We know that you support it. So this means Israel, this means the United States of America. Something for the
Of course,
Turks.
its political support is already wavering.
We want military
there is
support.
Also military support. Now, at the point of talking about whether there will really be an intervention or something like that, the Wall Street Journal newspaper claims tonight that Trump has approved the plan. The attack plan is complete. Only the soldiers are waiting for the order to shoot. That was the claim.
I mean, is Donald Trump doing this? At the moment, work is still going on behind there, but Trump is making these statements saying that I can hit, you know, such a thing. A little bit of intimidation, a little bit of pressure.
Now, on the one hand, Khamenei is already talking tough. I mean, he says that he will not step back, he will not negotiate in any way. You know, there is such a war imposed on us. But now on Friday, the European foreign ministers and the Iranian foreign minister, Irakchi, of Britain, France, and Germany are supposed to meet. There, if this meeting actually takes place, maybe there will be an important result. On the other hand, the American press writes this. In fact, it says that Iranian Foreign Minister Irakchi and Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff have been meeting for days and that the contact is ongoing. So what we understand from Trump's statements is that he still wants to open a space for diplomacy. But on the other hand, he is also making harsh statements against Iran. But he has not made up his mind, because he is also trying to find out whether he can actually achieve success militarily.